If you've been paying attention to what's been going on in the financial world over the last few months, do you know that things are starting to get a little crazy, to get a little out of whack? We've got inflation starting to tick up. Interest rates are starting to move back up. Gas prices are high and companies are laying people off by the thousands. And we're talking about big companies like Amazon, Meta, Google. Seems like they're laying off thousands of people every single week. And with all that's going on right now, there's a lot of people out there that are justifiably concerned about their financial situations. So in today's video, I'm going to be going over some things that I believe that if you possess, that you're doing better financially than you think you are. And the very first one is that you don't have a ton of credit card debt. I was reading something the other day. It said that Americans have surpassed over $1.25 trillion in credit card debt. Yes, trillion with a T. And to me, that is extremely concerning. Now, I know there are people out there that have credit cards, reward cards like platinum cards through Amex. And if you have those and you're using those and you're paying those off every single month, then this really isn't a message for you. I'm talking to the hundreds of thousands of Americans that are out there that have high interest credit cards. They have Klarna, Afterpay, and it's just a crazy amount of debt that they're carrying. So if you are not one of those people that are contributing to that $1.25 trillion in credit card debt, you're doing so much better than the average American is doing. And if you've watched any of my previous content, I've talked a lot about how I spent the majority of my 20s in credit card debt, 28, 29% credit card interest rates that took me so long to actually get pay off that I've made several videos about the methods that I've used to get myself out of that credit card debt. If you want some future tips on how to tackle credit card debt, leave a comment down below. I'll add that to my list of videos to make for you guys in the future. The next thing that could point to you're actually doing much better than you think you are in today's economy is that you have an emergency fund. So over 60% of Americans don't have at least $1,000 in a savings account, which is crazy to me, right? Because as we know, things happen all the time. And if you're not prepared from a financial perspective, what ends up happening is you have to supplement your income by using credit cards. And that hamster wheel just continues month after month, year after year. How do I know that? Because that was my story. So if you have at least 2 or 3 months of your monthly bills in a high yield savings account or in an account that's accessible if you need it, then you're doing so much better than over 60% of Americans today. The third thing that you're doing that actually indicates that you're doing much better financially than you think you are is that you have investments. I can't tell you how many people I've talked to that don't invest. And we're talking about simple investing, like investing through your corporate sponsor 401k. If you have access to contribute to a 401k, you should absolutely do it. I don't care what anybody tells you on social media about how investing in 401k is a trap. Don't listen to it. It's free money. At least invest enough to get the match from your company. Don't let the financial gurus and the people tell you that it's not worth it. You want to have as much money as humanly possible in different accounts that you can access later on in life. If you don't have access to a corporate sponsor 401k, you can invest in an IRA or a brokerage account, right? We talk about investing all the time on my channel. If you have any questions about how to get started with investing, you can check out my $100,000 portfolio builder challenge and jump into that at any time. I answer every single question that you guys leave for me in my videos. I at least try to. So make sure you jump in and check that out. Guys, if you're getting some value from this video, or if you've watched any of my content in the past and got some value, consider subscribing. And while you're at it, hit that like button and that hype button. The hype button is new, but hype me up, right? All right, the fourth thing that if you have going on, you're doing much better than you think you are financially, is you have money left over at the end of the month. Look, this all goes back to the first thing that we talked about, which is credit cards. So many people overextend themselves on a monthly basis And then what ends up happening is they have to supplement their life by using credit cards or some form of credit. But if you have money left over after you pay your bills at the end of a month, you're doing much better than the average person. Look, this economy is hard out here. There's a lot of people that are losing jobs. There's a lot of people that have bought houses or cars that they can't afford, and they've overextended themselves and they can't find a way out of it. So if you have money left over at the end of every single month, you're doing so much better than you think you are. In fact, you're in a position to be able to create a budget that you can actually start to see how you can actually save more money than you're actually saving right now. I often talk about how budgeting is one of the most important aspects of building wealth. And if you have money left over at the end of every single month, you have to be doing some type of budgeting, right? So if you tighten that up just a little bit, it'll take you so much further than you already are right now. All right, number 5, and this is a big one. You are doing so much better than you think you are from a financial perspective if you don't let things like social media dictate how you're doing. When you get on social media apps, specifically Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, everybody's doing so well. Everybody's making over 6 figures. Everybody's talking about how they can afford to take these trips. They're going out to eat all the time. And just everything is just going so well. But then you take a look at your life and you're like, look, man, I can only go out to eat maybe twice a month. And I can't go on these lavish vacations that I see people taking on social media. I'm doing something wrong. I have to be behind, because if they're able to do these types of things and I can't, that means they're doing better than me and I need to step my game up. But what you don't know is that person that's on social media is using Afterpay. They're using Klarna. They're maxing out credit cards so they can pretend to live a life on social media that they don't live in real life. It happens all the time. It happens every day. So if you are not the type of person that lets social media dictate where you are from a financial perspective, then you're doing better than most people are actually doing in real life. All right. And then the last thing that lets you know that you're doing much better than a lot of people give themselves credit for is that you are actually a healthy person. Look, one of the things I want to talk a little bit more about on my channel when we talk about wealth is we want to actually start including health in that as well, right? You invest in your health, you invest in a health savings account. So on a previous video, I talked about how health savings accounts have triple tax advantages that you can take advantage of. But you take advantage of those types of accounts. You work out, you lift weights, you walk or jog, and you just live an overall healthier lifestyle. At least you try to, right? And if you're doing those things, you're doing so much better than the average person, because let's be real, over the past 20 years, waistlines have went up, exercise has went down. And if you're the type of person that likes to get out there, you like to get active, that's going to help you to clear your mind a little bit. I know when I go on these walks and I make these videos, it helps to clear my mind, right? Because I don't know the type of content that I'm going to start filming as soon as I start walking. I just pick it up, start having a conversation with you guys. I want to have real, true conversations about the things that I've experienced over the course of my life. Hopefully these things can help others that may have the same or similar issues that I've had in the past, and just to help people to actually start to understand that in real life, things are not always what they seem, especially if you're following things or people that are on social media. So what do you guys think? I like walking and talking and having these conversations with you guys, being authentic as possible. But I want to know, what do you think? What did I miss out of the 6 things that I talked about in today's video? And what are some things that you would add that you think that most people don't realize that if they have going on, they're doing much better from a financial perspective than they actually think that they are?